$300 billion was spent and it failed. This is a very difficult problem.
Sir, the second part of my question, do you see this allegations of extrajudicial killings affecting our treaties or deals like the EU GSP?
Well, I don't see it. No, I don't. And I don't see it affecting business particularly. There's no question that there has been some concern raised by some of the foreign business community over these. But nobody's withdrawing. No companies are going out, right? Business is not affected directly, right? It's more perceptual. For new foreign investors, they're going to need a more intensive, if you like, explanation to realize that, in fact, this doesn't have an effect on business.
Question? Ace from Joseph Morong, GMA 7.
Sir, can you elaborate more on your point to legalize drugs? Of course, you don't mean to legalize shabu, right? You didn't mean to refer to shabu as that to be legalized.
I think it depends on the drugs. I'm not an expert on drugs. I've never even tried one. But there are some drugs which are not terribly harmful. There are some which are terrible. If you give people something that's legal and not too harmful, maybe you're able to stop the really harmful ones from being wanted. I think it's the kind of research that needs to be done. I can't give an easy answer to it. But I think it's worth looking into. Because Poland, I do remember reading, Poland has done this and it has been successful. So let's look at the example of Poland and see if we can replicate it. And I would add to it that what's needed is education. If you start off when a child is 5 years old, educating them on how harmful drugs are, that they're not the thing to do, there's a good chance that by the time they get to their teens, they won't want to try. We've seen this in cigarettes. The decline in cigarette smoking is quite noticeable throughout the world today because of the education, because of the information that has been given out of the harm it can do. So fewer and fewer young people smoke today than they did when I was a kid, and fewer than when my dad was a kid. The trend is definitely down. So something legal but not good, once it's explained, people tend not to want to take it.
Thank you, Joseph. Vance Fernandez. Microphone, please. Catherine, please pass the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, sir. My question is, what frustrates us is, we know, is traffic. Now, we lack of foresight. Traffic.
Traffic, yes.
Yes, traffic. Now, what can you suggest to lessen this traffic?
Discipline. Discipline. Doing what you're supposed to do. I'll give you one simple example that drives me mad. Is I come to an intersection and the light is green and I can't go through because the traffic on the other side has blocked the road. So I can't get through, right? 2 minutes is wasted. There's a blank road on the other side, there's a great stack of cars here, and there's 5 cars blocking the road. Stop it. That alone will start to speed up traffic. In Australia, if you have an accident, by law, you must remove the vehicles if you can. In the Philippines, you leave them there for an hour before the traffic aides and whoever turn up to take pictures and talk to the people, and the traffic banks up and banks up, right? Impose that right now. There's a whole list of things like that, small things that can be done. Buses must stay in one lane. There must be no overtaking by a bus under any circumstances in any place. Malls, schools, any public anything like that, you must go off the road to unload or load. Around the corner if they don't have the access to do it. It's been found that if you stop for just 20 seconds, you create a roadblock that lasts for many minutes beyond. It just slows. You've got to keep You've got to keep the flow going. As soon as you put a brake in it, everything gets dislocated. So no stopping under any circumstances on major roads. I was coming down to the palace here a couple of weeks ago, and it took forever. And so we followed ways and went around all the side streets. Some of the side streets were down to one lane because there were parked cars on both sides. So a cars coming from each end, because it was two-way roads, wouldn't be able to pass each other. Now, I know it's tough if you own a car and you've got nowhere to put it, but what are we talking about here, right? Millions of people needing to move, or a few people having cars. If you can't put your car off the road, don't have a car. And I'm sure that there's good business opportunities here for people to put up some parking stations for people like that. But we have to think very dramatically about the good of the 12 million people, not the benefit of a few. So we've got to give alternative routes. Things like that. I can give you a whole list, but that sort of thing is what needs to be done. Yeah?
So, in short, we need discipline.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, President Duterte has rightly realized that a crisis needs a crisis solution. Do you agree? So we need to implement such thing as emergency powers. And we have also the procurement process of bureaucracy. Now, what else can you give us a solution to add to this kind of problem?
Well, I think the one that you mentioned, procurement, back in the 1992, when Ramos became president, you were probably not born then, we were suffering 8 to 12 hours.
I agree, sir.
Yeah. We were suffering 8 to 12 hour blackouts every day because Cory Aquino hadn't built power plants. And Ramos came in and said, I will give you back electricity by Christmas of the following year. But I need emergency powers to do it. Why? Because under the normal bureaucratic systems, you have to go out to public bidding. And you have to then choose the lowest bidder. And that all takes several years to do. Under the emergency powers that Congress granted Ramos, he was able to go out and negotiate for power plants. And so he went out to the world, and he went out to some of the biggest power plant manufacturers of the world, and he negotiated deals. Now, this is not the cheapest way to do it, and people today complain because of the cost of electricity and blame Ramos. No, you blame Cory, because she didn't give us power. So he had to take emergency steps, because he realized very rightly that no power is far more expensive than whatever you pay. And within about 15 months, he had enough power plants built to give us back electricity. Well, I see that being easily replicated the same way with the traffic problem, right? We need, for example, we need a second bridge across the Pasig, right? Up near Guadalupe there somewhere. We need it tomorrow. If we go through the normal processes, it will be 3 to 5 or 6 years before we have it. If we have emergency powers, we can put in what's called a Bailey Bridge within about 6 months, right? That's the kind of thing that can be achieved. Yeah?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Vance. No more questions. Thank you, Sir Peter Wallace.
No, I'm not knighted. Yeah.
Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Thank you, Peter. I'm sure you got a few insights there. And again, maybe it's also important to just say that the opinions that he has said are his own and do not necessarily reflect the management. Okay. All right, but thank you, Peter. We'd just like to address 2 or 3 things, and then we're done. We'll confine it to 3 questions. Just a comment regarding the Australian foreign minister saying that the Philippines should stop extrajudicial killings. We'd just like to say this. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop on Monday urged, and just like the foreign leaders who have concerns regarding the processes in the Philippines would best serve their purpose by addressing it through the proper channels, proper diplomatic channels, instead of voicing it over media. The other thing is about shabu prices up in northern Mindanao as war on drug intensifies. Just like to make a side comment regarding the matter that apparently the crackdown is making headway and that the supply is being lowered, and which tells us that the efforts against illegal drugs is succeeding. Regarding the EDCA needing a president's signature, I'd just like to say that the president's legal team is currently addressing the matter. Thank you.
Questions? Janeline or Alexis? Raymond Tenasa.
So good afternoon. Sir, so can you confirm the White House statement just today that there are not actually official moves or official channels being done to actually implement that new foreign policy of the Duterte administrations against U.S. or there are no actual communications yet
Right.
being sent to the State Department?
Just like to pick up on what Mr. Wallace had said earlier, that a number of his statements are not really, are basically expressions of frustration and a desire to express the independence of the Philippines. But at this stage, there are no official statements, no moves regarding these matters.
So all clearly, categorically, it's just all words, all statements, no official.
There are no official moves regarding the matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more questions? MPC? Maricel Halili?
Sir, may we just have your reaction about the statement of Senator Trillanes asking for the explanation of Office of the President about the 2 billion pesos increase on intelligence funds?
I'm not privy to that particular issue at this moment, but we can get back to you.
Okay. Catherine Valente? Microphone, please.
Sir, regarding the first 100 days of President Duterte. Sir, regarding the 100 days, sa Friday na po, may know po kung ano yung mga activities na nakahanda po.
That's going to be coming from the PCO itself, and let's wait for them to be able to unfold.
For you, sir, as presidential spokesman, how do you evaluate po the first 100 days of the Duterte administrations in terms of drug, crime, and corruption? So how do you evaluate po?
It's not my place to be evaluating that, but from where we are, from what we can see, it's made dramatic progress. For example, when they say that the first phase has been successful, basically I see it in terms of creating awareness. Who knew how deep it was? But from the efforts that has been done by the president, people are now so made aware of the depth and the width of the extent of drugs and the way it has infiltrated, for example, all the way down to apparently up to 97% of barangays. And so the awareness, I think the first part of the first part of any campaign, or as it says, war, is to be able to identify the enemy, and the enemy here is the spread, and is the illegal drug apparatus.
Sir, regarding the EDCA, may report po kasi na lumalabas na napirmahan daw po ito ni President Aquino last June 2015. Tapos, may we know po, kasi sabi ni President, hindi daw po ito napirmahan, isa daw po yun sa mga bases. Bakit?
Like I said earlier, the legal team is looking into the matter.
Okay po, thank you.
Thank you.
Who, sir?
I just said legal team. Okay, thank you.
Tricia?
Sir, good afternoon. Edgar Matabato had an interview with Ms. Wino Monsod sa Bawal ng Pasaway, and he revealed that then Mayor Duterte watched as the allege a supposed DDS killed well-known people. Can we get the palace reaction on this?
I think that those matters should be properly referred to the investigations and should be referred there. Thank you.
Okay. Alexis?
Secretary, what do you say to the decision of the Senate Justice Committee to terminate the hearings on extrajudicial killings?
That is their call.
You wouldn't have any comment about it?
Not at this stage. Okay.
Joseph Morong, to be followed by Raymond.
Hi, sir. Yesterday, I think yesterday, 2 days ago, si Senator Coco Pimentel said that there's no such thing as the Lima sex video. He saw the video, but there's no member of the Senate there. So,
No member of the Senate in the video?
I mean,
okay.
referring to Secretary De Lima, Senator
Alright,
De Lima.
okay.
So there's no De Lima sex video as far as Senator Pimentel is concerned. But the president, in previous statements, seemed to suggest that, you know, a different thing. So was the president misled by others? By
At this
some
stage,
factors?
opinions regarding the matter should be left alone. And I mean, after all, a number of concerns have been raised regarding the matter. So let's leave it as it is.
No, but was the president misled into thinking that it was Senator De Lima inside in the video?
I'm not aware. I cannot have any opinion no matter whether he was misled or not.
Why?
That's
Sabi
his-
niya, nakita niya yung video, right?
Okay, let's leave it at that. Okay, thank you.
Vance Fernandez.
Sir, good afternoon.
Yes, Ms. Vance.
So they're laughing eh. Sir, did the President sign the law for the postponement of barangay election already?
The what?
Barangay election
Sangguniang Kabataan
postponement.
and barangay
There's-
elections.
He simply said that he's discouraging the whole matter. Okay,
Short answer, sir.
very short.
So, sir, pero isasend to sa Congress, isasubmit mo ng Palace para magkaroon ng postponement ng
Yes.
elections?
I think come again.
Already a postponement.
Waiting for his signature.
Signature.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for filling in the gap. Yes, one last question.
Well, yesterday, yung kay Mr. Obama na comment and some senators, I think Senator Lacson said, na mukhang, and the president also said naman na parang hindi niya kaya makinig dun sa advice because naman na rumenda because mawawala yung momentum. We get that. But some senators saying that, you know, comment like the one he said about Mr. Obama is unnecessary. What do you think of it?
Okay, these are the opinions of the senators, and thank you very much.
Ina?
Sir, just going back to Joseph's question earlier.
Which is?
So the president is still standing by his statements that the video of Senator De Lima exists. Is that right?
That is his statement.
Okay. On another matter, sir, you mentioned earlier that there have been no moves regarding the president's pronouncements on foreign policy. But is this maybe forthcoming because yesterday he said in his speech in Makati that, and I quote, "Eventually in my time, I will break up with America." What does he mean by that?
That in the future he might make moves. So in the present there is no moves yet, but that in the future he might.
There's no certainty because it's might break up with our ties. When you say break up our ties, what do you mean by that, sir? What did he mean by it?
Simply that he again. I would like to the way the way he expresses himself. It is that he still wants an independent foreign policy. You know, so in other words, the breaking up may not necessarily be a breaking up of alliances in that way. It may, but you know, he's not saying that. Basically, just as far as let's just going back to the statement that he has made. It is basically expressing an independent foreign policy, that it is not exclusive, that it is inclusive, that we are not to be held down by any just one treaty, for example.
Lastly, from me, can we just get a response? Is the president open to legalizing marijuana as suggested by Mr.
As far as I know, not. As far as I know, there have been no official statements. I may be wrong regarding the matter, but that is, of course, a very radical opinion by Mr. Wallace. It's a democratic society. He's a Filipino. He's free
Okay,
to
we're
express.
taking last two
Thank you, sir.
questions from Vance Fernandez and Alexis Romero. Vance, microphone, please.
Yes, sir. Senator Trillanes said he thinks the election won't happen because a...
Which elections?
Can you
Yun ang
please
postpone na.
let me...
No,
Sir, can I
is
repeat
election-
my question?
Kaya nga, tinatanong ko
Yes.
which election?
The next election. It's like this, sir. Now, Senator Trillanes said he thinks the election won't happen because a transitory provision can be inserted in the event that charter change happens and President Duterte can stay on until 2008 or beyond. Do you think there is a basis for this kind of Senator Trillanes saying this kind of words?
I'll have to check on the legal matter regarding that. Okay.
Okay, sir. How about the cabinet meeting? Do you have any?
What
Can
about
you
the cabinet
please share
meeting?
us yung cabinet meeting the other day?
We went through several reviews of matters. For example, one interesting thing I can share with you is Secretary Ubial's visit to Cuba regarding healthcare. It was very, very impressive. Her report was that Cuba has an excellent healthcare that supports the citizens. Among other things, that was one, and that was very, very interesting. It took up a lot of time, some time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vance. Alexis Romero.
Just a follow-up on the U.S. He said he might break ties with the U.S. yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So how do you reconcile that with his previous statement that we will not cut any ties or the umbilical cord with any of our allies?
This is not policy, but this is my opinion regarding the way he makes statements, okay? Like, for example, I think very recently he said he wants, I think it was yesterday or this morning, he said he wants Americans out of Mindanao. So he calibrates his statement. So he carefully calibrates his statement. So along that line, if we follow his style, then let us not simply just put a period at the end of his statements and say that let's wait for his clarifications regarding the matter.
Do you think he should be more specific next time so as to avoid misinterpretations or...
We can want or we can wish, but this is his particular leadership style, so it's best, I think, to just allow him to complete his policies in time.
So, final question.
Mr. Wallace would like to make a comment regarding the matter.
As I interpret what the president is doing, is that, and I think I've more or less mentioned this, is that for the last 60-odd years, since we broke away from America as a colony, there's always been this kind of subservient thinking. And he wants to break that. He wants to establish that the Philippines is a truly independent country, independent of anyone, and on equal standing to any other country. Even though we're a small country, equal standing to others, as all countries do want. His way of doing it is rather radical, okay? But that's his style. He's not, I don't think he has any intention of breaking away from America. I think he well recognizes that the relationship with America is very important, but it must now be on an equal, independent basis, not in the previous manner that it has been, and that's what he's trying to achieve.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Thank
Raymond
you.
Tinasa, a last question from Joseph Morong.
Quick lang sa akin, sir. Sir, but what is clear now is we are now leaning more towards Russia and China.
I don't think we're leaning, it's a question of leaning more towards Russia and China. It's just that he has expanded his options.
Pero ang sabi niya...
Yes, he
kagabi-
made that, I understand, he made those statements. But it's not a question of, it's a question of broadening his options. It could be anybody else, actually. It could be actually be anybody else. But he simply is broadening his options.
Kasi sabi niya, breakup. So breakup is breakup. Then pupunta na tayo dun sa Russia and China na meron daw respeto sa tao. Unlike US who doesn't respect.
Okay. Precisely that. But it's not, it could be anybody else. It could be anybody else, except that at this stage, it's Russia and China that it's referring to, right? But basically, if you notice, it says Russia and China are giving us respect.
Yeah.
Respect. So you can tell that the tenor is not so much what economic benefits he can get from the country, but that he is getting respect. And that's exactly what the president apparently is wanting. That he wants the Philippines to be on equal footing with others, whether they're big or not, but he wants to respect them, and he wants to be accepted. He wants it on just an equal footing. Thank
Okay,
you.
si Joseph Morong, sir, and then Vance wants to clarify something. Joseph Morong.
All right.
Sir, I think the Vice President Robredo had a press conference this morning, and then she said, well, advice na kay Presidente is to be a little more circumspect in his speech, especially with regarding mga international aid. We're not an island. We're not, we exist in a global community.
Correct.
What can you say about it?
I think in connection with what I just said, I think we should. I can understand, but if you notice the tone, and this is no reference to the vice president, but according to the way the suggestion was framed, that we should be careful because of the aid, that the aid might be cut. But that, from the president's perspective, it's not so much the aid that we're after. It is that we want to be received with dignity and not subservient.
So just to rephrase it a little bit, is the president or is the palace worried about the implications on our relationships with other countries when you hear our president speak like that?
Is the palace concerned?
Yes, sir. I mean, repercussions.
Repercussion. Okay, again, let me go back to it. If you notice, he said, handa tayo. He says we should be ready. In other words, for him, the great issue is the dignity that we have as a Filipino nation. Not so much na baka mahirapan tayo, ganon. But hindi sinasabing walang kwenta yon. Ang sinasabi na dapat, tingnan natin. Actually, if you really notice, I mean, this is my opinion. He seems to be a one-man social revolution. Di ba? Parang binibigyan niya sa atin yung, parang tinuturuan niya tayong igalang yung ating pagkabansa.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Sir, last question na lang si Deo de Guzman and then Vance Fernandez. Last two questions na.
Sir, you're saying na yung pag-lean ng presidente sa China and Russia is just broadening his options in terms of business?
Options in relationship. Hindi ba kasi, kumbaga, ang pagkakatingin natin, ang perception niya is that masyado tayong subservient, hindi ba sa
Yes.
sa US. Kumbaga, sinasabi niya na para bang na we matured, nagmamature tayo. Kaya itayo natin sarili natin, tahakin natin yung lakad natin, sarili natin. And one of the ways that we can there's China, there's Russia na mukhang pwedeng tumulong sa atin na ilakad natin ang ating pagkasambayan, pagka-Pilipino.
Yes, sir. I just don't understand because if you're broadening your options, then why close another?
He is
one?
not closing. He is
Yes,
broadening.
Why close? Because he said that he wants to cut ties with the
Yes.
with US.
Okay.
That's not broadening.
Okay. Siguro ang mahalaga dyan is dapat intindihin natin yung word na cut ng ties. Sabi, it's a possibility that he might. Hindi ba yung pagkakasabi kanina, might. He might. Okay? So, okay. But let's try to use our creative imagination. Okay? Huwag tayo masyadong literal.
Sir, that's being creative.
Ganun nga siya magsalita.
It was his statement, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, correct. I understand. But in other words, we're trying to ask, you've seen the way he speaks, right?
Yes, sir.
You've seen the way he speaks. So in other words, intindihin natin ang konteksto ng pagkakasalita niya. Okay? So at this stage, kung gusto mong kung tinatanong mo sa akin yung opinion ko, ang opinion ko ay sinasabi niya na ito yung US, pero ngayon, hindi lang tayo nakadikit sa US, tinitingnan din natin baka pwede tayo makipag-usap sa Russia at sa China. At sa palagay ko, kung sino pa man na makakatulong sa atin. In fact, he's creating relationships with the ASEAN, hindi ba? gumaganda nga yung relasyon natin sa kanila. So kung tinatanong mo yung opinion ko, yun po ang aking opinion. Salamat po.
Thank you, Deo. Vance Fernandez?
Okay, Sir Eratum. Sir, clarify pala yung kaninang tinatanong nyo kung kailan yung election, that is this coming 2022. Now, my another question is, do you have an update on Joma Season's urging to release some political prisoners?
Pakiulit po yung tanong.
Sir, can you give us an update? Sinabi po ni Joma Season to release political prisoners in compliance of comprehensive agreement of human rights and international humanitarian law.
Ano na? Ang pagkakaalam ko po ay yung hinihiling niya, yung release ng lahat.
Yes, sir. All.
Sa pagkakaalam ko po, pagkasabi ata ng Presidente ay hindi lahat. Merong mga marirelease. After the peace talk siguro.
After the
Mag-usap
peace
ulit.
talks. Thank you, Vance.
Magandang tanghali po sa lahat at okay na.
Okay.
Alin?
Okay. Thank you.
I'm asking you this as a spokesperson of the
Yes.
president who should be able to clarify his pronouncements.
Okay.
We keep on focusing on understanding where the president
Okay.
is coming from. So did he mean what he said yesterday, that
That?
to the Philippines, that he may break ties with the U.S.?
Okay.
Is that a yes or no? Are we?
He said that.
Mhm.
He said that.
Did he
okay?
mean it, or is it something that?
Well, let's put it there. He said that. He said that he might. Okay? Let's base it on that. He might. It's not a definite. Yes, it's not definite. No, he said he might. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ina. Thank you.
All right. He has an option.
Oh, sige.
Ganito na lang. How much of the president's speech is policy?
That's impossible to quantify. Let's but ganito na lang. It becomes policy when there is official action.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay?
you.
So
Thank-
ganun, malino, tama?
Yes.
Ha?
Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Thank you, Mr. Peter Wallace.
So walang tama pa. Okay?
Okay.
Tama.
Thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan.
Sandali.
Okay.
Gusto ko lang malinaw. Bukas ba nandito kayo?
Sorry, yung iba kasi,
Kasi
they're going to
bukas,
Batanes.
ang inimbita natin si Jose Almonte.